Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's great, and Merry Christmas, if that's your sort of thing. As you know, if you watched yesterday's video, I talked a little bit about how Christmas isn't isn't my religious thing, but it has always been a very special day for me. And in fact, I think I mentioned at the end of yesterday's video that the Christmas Eve was always a little more heartwarming, I think, whereas Christmas Day was always a little bit more chaotic. And what I can remember, truthfully, like the build up to Christmas was my favorite part of the year. We always got a live tree every year. And I can remember going and picking it out at various tree lots and getting it home, and then Dad putting it in the garage and sawing the end off and attaching the tree stand. We had this pail that we'd put the tree stand in. It fit the whole thing and filled with water, and I think it was like an antifreeze drain pan, like a catch pan. But we'd put the tree in, we'd put the tree up, we decorated, we had those little like silver sparkly stringy things hanging all over the tree and lights and decorations. Mom had in her basement there was these built-in shelves, and she had tubs of Christmas decorations that would come out. When I was little, we had like a little buffet table, I think, in the dining room. I'm pretty sure it was like a buffet table. And we would get a record player out, and there was like Bing Crosby's Christmas, and there was a few other Christmas albums. I don't remember them all. I do specifically remember Bing Crosby, but we get to play that. And Mom would take the trimmings from the tree, because we'd have to cut around the bottom to put packages under, or they wouldn't fit. She would take those and put those in the heat registers so they would blow pine scent throughout the house. She would put some on that console table or buffet table, whatever it was. Just all of the setup. My mom has always been like, she has tubs for all the holidays, right? She's one of those people that when you go to the house, it's decorated for whatever the holiday is. And setting all of that stuff out every year was always like, oh, it's going to be great. And then Christmas Day would come, and it would be a bit chaotic. We would wake up fairly early. I don't really specifically remember being one of those kids that woke up super duper early excited, but maybe I was. I feel like we just kind of slept normally and then woke up and got excited for Santa. And then very much like, A Christmas Story, we had the Santa tradition of who gets to play Santa, passes out the gifts, that sort of thing. And I'm pretty sure that started before we saw the movie. But passing out gifts, opening all the gifts, looking at the stuff, and Mom would start cooking. We always had Christmas dinner at our house, and so Mom would be cooking. I don't know when she'd put the turkey in, like that morning. I don't know. Be cooking all day while we opened gifts, or after we opened gifts, and then we would start cleaning up, and Dad would relax and drink coffee and read the paper, and I would play with whatever it was I got that year, and we kind of would be on pause mode while Mom cooked, and we would just kind of entertain ourselves until my aunt and uncle showed up, and they always brought like trash bags of gifts. My uncle is a big guy. He always has been a big guy, and he's always had a white beard. He started graying early like I have, and so his beard was always, pretty light. He'd have these big garbage bags of presents on his shoulder, and it was like Santa Claus showing up. They would come in literally in the living room and just upend these garbage bags and shake out presents all over the floor. And so we had like a second Christmas when they showed up. My grandmother and grandfather from my mom's side would come over at some point throughout the day, and then my dad would sometimes go get his mom. I don't think she came every year, but I think she mostly came. He would go pick his mom up and bring her over, and we would unwrap more gifts, and then we'd all have dinner. And so throughout the day, it was busy. My aunt and uncle, they're older than my mom, so their daughter was, I think she's about 11 years older than me. So by the time I was into my tens and teens, she had already had, you know, I think she had even gotten married and had a child by then. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly the age range, but they would all come over, and I mean, it was just always like a house full of people, gifts everywhere, trying to shuffle it all into my tiny bedroom and get it out of the way so that more people could show up and drop more gifts. And it was a day-long event, and it didn't end until everybody went home at like, I don't know, it felt like 7 or 8, but it was probably a little earlier than that, because we usually had that like early afternoon, 2 o'clock dinner like everybody has. And then it was just time, to crash and not wake up for a while because I had, so much stuff. But Christmas Day itself has always been magical, just a different kind of magical. If you watched my video on Monday when I talked about holiday fatigue, it was the same kind of thing. I had it here, I had the girls here, we opened all these gifts, my sister showed up, my niece showed up, I cooked dinner all day, we opened stuff, we got stuff put together, we got stuff ready to be used. And by the end of all that, you're just like, man, what a day, And so that's why I said yesterday that Christmas Eve was always a little bit more wholesome. It was a little bit more about just family and caring and like love, Whereas Christmas Day was more just bonkers. When my kids were young, to juxtapose all of that, we didn't put Christmas presents out until Christmas Eve night. So they'd go to bed. I would stay up really late wrapping. Some weeks, or some years, I didn't get done till like 1 or 2 in the morning wrapping gifts and getting them all set out under the tree. We'd put them all out. I'd go to sleep. They'd wake up at 6:30. I got to sleep for maybe 3-4 hours. I'd wake up, get coffee. We would open gifts and then immediately leave. Like, we opened gifts here at 6:30, 7 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, 8:30, we were out the door going to their grandmother's house, because their grandmother's house was where the real magic happened. So, we would try to get there around the same time as the nephews would get there, and so everybody would walk into this huge room full of gifts, and everybody would go crazy. And then we would, stay there for a couple of days because we got snowed in. But it was vastly different than what I was used to as a child. I was used to everybody coming to us, and I got to have I get to enjoy my day with the stuff that I got. Whereas here, we would rip gifts, whatever Jamie and I could afford, we would buy the kids, but they always got way more at their grandmother's house. And so we would open stuff. They would pick out 1 or 2 things to take with them to grandma's, and then we would run to grandma's house. Usually we would go there. I might go over to my sister. She usually does Christmas breakfast. I would go over there at 10 o'clock in the morning and have breakfast with them, then come back. Then we would go to my mom's house that night. So we did the running, but it was a vastly different experience than what I was used to. So this year, as I said yesterday, I'm getting to spend a little bit of time with M's family and meeting new people. And it's been, we'll talk about that next week. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend with family and friends and loved ones, and that you get some good gifts and give some good gifts, and more importantly, eat some great food. Thank you. I will see you again on Monday. Today's word you should know to sound smart is duffer. It is a noun meaning an incompetent or ineffectual person. Maxwell can't help being a duffer. After all, his family has been wealthy for only 2 generations. Duffer. D-U-F-F-E-R. Boy, do I know some duffers. Ineffectual or incompetent. Usually both. Let's be honest. Ineffectual and incompetent.